Hi everybody, this is my entry for the top 20 for 2020 series being done by Joe the Horror Man and Jason from Horrific Nightmares. The theme for this one is Satanism, Demons and Devils. So here's my top 20 films in those genres. A little disclaimer from the beginning. It's not always easy to tell in some of these films what's the difference between a ghost and a demon. So you might quibble a little bit with some of these selections and say, well, they're not demons as such, but to me they are, so I've included them here. Alright, getting on with it then. So in at number 20 is this thing here, Ouija the Devil's Game, which is also known as Ouija Summoning. Now, I had said in a previous video that I'm obsessed with Ouija board films, and this is one of the better ones. It's by no means a good film. It's very low budget, it's very amateurish, and it's basically a love letter to jump scares. But I do think it just does jump scares really well, and I just happen to like the story of it. So, Ouija the Devil's Game at number 20. Number 19 is Needful Things, a very good, faithful adaptation of Stephen King's novel, with a great cast, Max von Sydow, Ed Harris. So, number 19. Number 18 is Are You There?, which is better known as I Am Zozo. Now, this film gets an enormous amount of hate because most people who watch this film consider it to be boring and uneventful, and it kind of is, I suppose. But this is why I love this film. This film does a very rare thing. It depicts a group of friends who feel like they're friends, and I give it huge kudos for that, because how many times we've been watching a film like this where a bunch of friends go off together to a cabin or something, and you spend half the film thinking to yourself, why are these people friends? Obviously, they've had to tick all the boxes. You know, you've got the different stereotypical characters who in real life never gravitate towards each other. And during the film, they just spend all the time mocking each other and bickering and arguing. What I really like about this film is these people feel like actual friends as they're going through all this stuff. And for that reason, it's a film that I just like to put on and watch every now and again. So, Are You There? Or I Am Zozo in at number 18. Next up is Amityville 2, The Possession. In my opinion, this is the best film in the Amityville series, with one of the most uncomfortable to watch scenes of incest. Not one of the most uncomfortable to watch scene of incest I've ever seen on film. But despite that, I think it's just an excellent film. Obviously, it rips off The Exorcist at the end, but it doesn't bother me too much. Next is a gem called Catacombs from 1988. I love everything about this film, in particular the setting. I have actually been to the monastery in Italy where this was filmed. It's now a kind of a hotel, you can stay there, which I have done, and it was a great experience because I've loved this film since childhood. I think it's just a minor gem, and thank you to Scream Factory for putting it out. Next is another Stephen King, Sometimes They Come Back. The demon element of this story is more obvious in the short story. Here, it's more of a kind of ghost film than a demonic possession film. But anyway, it is a kind of forgotten gem again from King. I don't see a lot of people mention this, but it's excellent. Next is a film called The Shrine, which is by an excellent director called John Knotts. I mean, everything he's made has been fantastic. He did Girl House. He recently put out a film called The Cleaning Lady, which is great. Goddess of Love is a fantastic character study, similar to something like Maniac. So, and The Shrine, I think, is possibly his best film. It's incredibly creepy imagery in this film. He's such a talented director. Next up is another very talented director who sadly didn't make many films. I should probably cover that part up. Michele Soavi's The Church. Everything Soavi directed was great. You know, Cemetery Man and Stage Fright. What was the other one? The Sect. But I do think this is maybe his best one. The Church, love the story, and I love how it's kind of connected with the whole Demons series. I mean, Lamberto Bava's and Argento's Demons. Anyway, so there's The Church. Next is a classic, Rosemary's Baby, from Roman Polanski's page-by-page adaptation of Ira Levin's novel. The novel is great, and Polanski basically just filmed exactly word for word the book. And it works very well because of that, because the novel is already very cinematic in how it's presented. The scene where Rosemary starts getting a desire, a craving for raw meat. My goodness, I found that so creepy when I was a kid. So Rosemary's Baby. And then at number 11, Tales from the Crypt's Demon Knight. Loved this, so much fun. I wish Tales from the Crypt had carried on making feature-length films, because I also love Bordello of Blood and Ritual, which is kind of an unofficial Tales from the Crypt film. Alright, into the top 10. Number 10, Little Witches. Another childhood favourite. Now, this film often gets dismissed as being a far inferior rip-off of The Craft. But it isn't a rip. They were released at exactly the same time, a few months apart. So it's obviously wasn't meant to be a rip-off. But it doesn't. The film doesn't help itself very much, because this image on the cover is actually Fairuza Balk from The Craft. She's not in this film. This is an image from The Craft. So the marketing people have decided to seize upon its connection to The Craft. And it is an inferior film, in many ways, but I just really like it. Something about this one that I really love. And good luck getting a copy of this, because it's really rare. I had to pick up this Dutch DVD for silly money off eBay. Next up, Night of the Demons. Everyone's seen this. This is the most awful cover art that I own. Of all the iconic scenes and imagery in this film, why would they choose this for the cover of the DVD? I have no idea, but anyway, it doesn't matter much, does it? It's a great film. Next is Ty West's The House of the Devil, a nice creepy throwback to the 80s. Yeah, just everyone's probably seen this one as well. Nice and creepy. Next up is The Conjuring. I don't know, is it my favorite in the series? I just chose this one because just to represent all the series, really. But I do love all the films in the Conjuring franchise, including Annabelle, which a lot of people don't like, but I love it. So there you go. Next up is Hellraiser 3, which is my favorite film in the Hellraiser series. It's not. I don't think it's the best film in the series. That would be probably 1 or 2, but it is for various reasons my favorite. So Hellraiser 3. Now we're into the top 5 with The Omen. I think I mentioned this in a previous video, I don't remember, but I said that the scene where the new nanny comes to Damien's bedroom and says something like, "Have no fear, little one, I'm here to protect thee," that terrified me as a kid, absolutely petrified me. So, The Omen at number 5, and at number 4 is when I was saying you might quibble about is this demon or not, but Paranormal Activity. I know it's fashionable to hate this film now, but I absolutely love it. I think it's very frightening, very creepy. The first time I watched this, it scared the pants off me, especially at the end. And I do include it as a demonic possession film, because I know this series got a bit weird as it went on into all the witchcraft kind of stuff, but she is quite clearly possessed at the end of the film, so I consider that to be demon. I don't know, do ghosts possess people? I don't think they do. Number 3, Stephen King's The Stand, very relevant for our coronavirus times. An excellent adaptation of a book which is probably very difficult to adapt just because of how massive it is. But King himself did the screenplay for this, and I think he did a fantastic job, especially because he was constrained by this being for a TV, so he had to cut out a lot of the more horrifying aspects of the book. But it's such a great watch. So number 3, and at number 2 is Lamberto Bava's Demons, which I've already mentioned once. So much fun, a very silly film obviously, but it's just enormous fun. I had the pleasure and privilege of meeting Bettina Ciampellini, who plays Nina in this film. That was a bit of a mad coincidence. I had happened to be watching this film when I was in Florence, Italy, and looked up what the actors were doing, and it turned out that Bettina Ciampellini owned a shop in pretty much the center of Florence. So I emailed from my hotel and said, I'm a big fan of the film. This is the only thing she ever did as an actress. I said, do you mind if I just come into your shop and say hello? She almost immediately replied, said, no problem at all. English isn't very good at all, but she got the message across. Went over, met her, spent some time. Fantastic person. Absolutely wonderful person. Sadly, at the time, I didn't have this steelbook. Obviously, I don't walk around Europe with my steelbook collection, but what I mean is it would have been good to get her autograph of this, but it was just good enough to meet her and have a chat with her about the filming of Demons. So anyway, sorry for the rambling. Demons at number 2, and number 1, sorry if this is such a boring and predictable choice, but it is one of my favorite films of all time, The Exorcist. First time I watched this film wasn't taken with it at all. I was expecting something very different when it was re-released in the late 90s in England. I thought it was going to be a very frightening film, and it isn't. It is a brilliant film, but maybe because I don't actually believe in any of the stuff that this film deals with, like hell and the devil and possession, all that stuff, it doesn't really touch me on that level. But from the acting to the direction to the music to the look to the aesthetic of the film, it's just almost flawless. So that's my number one. Alright, so that's my top 20 demon, devil, Satanist films. Thank you again to Joe and Jason for doing this series. It's a really fantastic idea, and I love watching everyone else's videos. So hopefully I'll be able to join in with whatever the next theme is as well. Until then, take care everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.